Hi everyone. So in today's announcement, I just wanted to, excuse me, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the first parts of these terms and concepts that you're going to want to understand in order to fill out your planner. So the critical evaluation planner in 4 parts. The part that's coming up is part 2. In part 2, you're going to need to know about evidence, about persuasive appeals, about counter argument, and about logical fallacies. So I'm actually going to make another video next time to talk a little bit more about counter argument and logical fallacies. Today, I want to talk about evidence and persuasive appeals. If you look at the planner in part 2, you're going to see, just move it over a little bit. You're going to see that one of the first things that you need to do is identify some types of evidence. So what it's asking for here are 3 pieces of evidence that you see as supporting the author's main claim. So if we remember that the main claim of our assigned article, which I've also included here as a reminder, our assigned article, our primary first source is called Ungrading by Susan Bloom. That's the article for this critical evaluation. And if you see any mention of the supplemental or secondary article, that's going to be the one that you found that contained a counter argument that you posted on the supplemental source approval. So with our ungrading article, we've talked a little bit about how the main claim of the article is that grades in higher education are not beneficial and should be either minimized or eliminated. That's the basic gist. You'll notice that that might not be the exact wording I've used before. That's because everyone can put that idea differently. When you put the main idea into your own words, you can say it in different ways as long as it covers that basic idea that this author believes grades are not helpful or useful or beneficial in higher education, and she thinks that they should be eliminated or minimized or not focused on as much, however you want to say that. That's our main claim. So what we're looking for with evidence is support that she offers for her claim. And there are different types of evidence. So my recommendation to y'all is to, when you're looking for evidence, you're going to have to identify the type of evidence. And here are a bunch of the types up here. And you're going to have to give an example. It doesn't make sense to pick one of these and then look for an example necessarily, because not every article is going to contain all the different types of evidence. An article might rely heavily on one and not the other, or a combination of a couple. So my recommendation is to go through first and look for evidence that the author uses to support his or her claim. The way that you would do that is to literally pull your article up. I think I have it up here. Yeah. Here is the article. This is in print form. So I'm going to just go back to yeah, there we go. Here's your article. You're looking for sentences that you think, maybe 2 sentences, maybe a paragraph. I wouldn't go more than a paragraph. That you think support what the author has to say. I'm going to recommend that you stay away from the solutions section, the outcome section, or the comments to skeptics section, because those aren't really going over her main argument. Those are a separate thing that we'll talk about independently. So look through this first part of the article up until it gets to the solutions section. Look for reasons that this author supports her idea about grades. Okay. When you're looking for types of evidence, one of the things that I have included for you here is the articles, that the web pages that'll go more in depth into these different types of evidence. And one document I would like you to check out that talks about the common types of evidence. These in bold and also in italics. Let me find an example. Anecdotes, expert opinion. These terms are different types of evidence. If you Google this and look online, you're going to find evidence described in different ways online. You're going to find different categories that might not be included. When you click on this other, let me just go back. When you click on this other article, that's a link to the book that we're using in the course, the online materials rather, that we're using in the course. If you click on this, it's going to list a type of evidence that's not on this list. There are lots of different types of evidence, and people might call them different things. I'm not as worried about you memorizing every different type of evidence as I am you being able to identify the types of evidence you found. So I'll give you a very quick example. If you look at this common types of evidence, instance, this document, you'll see that expert opinion is listed and that's also listed at the top of your planner. An expert opinion is a type of opinion that has more validity. It's still an opinion, but it's informed by experience in a field. So that's the definition of expert opinion. If you go and look here, you can see that she refers to experts and what they distinguish. So that's a piece of evidence that could be classified as the type expert opinion. So to learn a little bit more about evidence and the different types, I'd like you to look over this Word document and read this article. And then the last thing I'm going to tell you about, like I said, next time we'll talk about counterargument and logical fallacies, is I'll talk a little bit about persuasive appeals. There's an article here I'd like you to read to get an idea of it. The persuasive appeals are also called rhetorical appeals, and they're principles used to persuade an audience to agree with the author's point of view. So ethos is an appeal to authority, pathos is an appeal to emotion, and logos is an appeal to logic. And to learn more about those things, there are examples and definitions in this article that I'd like you to read. This is all stuff that you're going to want to know before you start filling out the planner, because there are going to be some terms. For instance, it's going to ask you a question right here, what persuasive appeal is being used. And that means you're going to want to talk about ethos, logos, or pathos. And these types up here, it's going to be a type of evidence that you're supposed to identify. So focus on learning those concepts. Watch this video, look through those different resources that I included. And next time I'll talk a little bit more about logical fallacies and counter arguments.